Hey everybody, today I want to do a real special video for my friends over at Mission Engineering, who were kind enough to get me set up with one of their top-of-the-line Gemini 2 Studio FRFR monitors. It's more than that, though. I almost hate to call it just an FRFR monitor. So many cool features, and it sounds absolutely amazing. Throughout the videos I'm talking, I'm going to intersperse some of the tracks that I've just kind of jammed along with through the Gemini and talk about a couple of the really cool features that are built into the speaker. So what is it, first of all? Well, it's a 220 watt, all the info will be up at missionengineering.com, which I'm going to put down on the screen. 220 watt 212 speaker cabinet with Class D power built into it, thus the 220 watts. It's a coaxial speaker design, meaning it's got two 12-inch drivers with two tweeters, but the tweeters are center mounted within the actual 12-inch speaker as well. So that's done for a number of reasons. I believe one of the main reasons is for the off-axis sound, so that no matter where you're standing in relation to it, you're going to basically get the same sound. It's not like a lot of speakers where you have to be standing in one spot to get the sound you're looking for, and then as soon as you kind of veer off axis, then you don't get that sound anymore. So this is an incredible speaker, very well built. It weighs in around 68 pounds, which is understandable simply for the fact it's got two 12-inch speakers. It's a stereo cabinet, which can be run in stereo or can be run in mono. It has Bluetooth capability, which is really neat because it's a great practice amp as well. You could have your modeler, in my case I'm using a Line 6 Helix, plug straight into it. You dial in your sound, and then simply from a smartphone or a tablet or a computer, any Bluetooth enabled music player, you can hook it up, and I've hooked a couple of devices up seamlessly to it. It works perfectly. My devices recognized it right away, connected to it with no issues whatsoever, and in seconds I was jamming along with a backing track, whether from YouTube or something of your own, or just a song you want to play. So that's a really great feature. I mean, there is a side to this where you could almost play just a small gig with this, a small club even, where if you're playing to backing tracks, right? You could put your backing track on, feed it through. It's coming through in stereo, which is great. One word about that in this video. I was trying to come up with the best way to get the sound of the speaker across, and that's always tough with FRFR because you want you want the listener to hear what you're hearing in the room, but that's almost impossible. I do have a microphone set up about a foot back from it to sort of try to capture a bit of the room sound. I messed around with some positioning that seemed to be the best. So yeah, it's not the ideal situation, but it really is difficult to do a proper FRFR video because of that. You almost have to be in the room with it to really get the full effect of what's going on. So what you're going to hear when I'm playing along with the backing track is obviously going to be in mono, but what I was hearing here was in stereo, okay? Everything else you're going to hear as well as in mono, simply because I only have it mic'd with one microphone. So. Again, not the ideal situation, but hopefully it gets the point across of how great this speaker sounds. The other great thing about it is it's also a USB audio interface, which is really spectacular. It's got a really great feature in the back. It has a guitar input directly into the speaker. And what that does, it also has a USB output which can go into your computer to use with your DAW of choice. So you would simply select the Mission Gemini as your audio interface, and then by plugging your guitar directly into the back of it, you could feed that into, let's say, Line 6 Helix Native, and then monitor it back out into your Gemini speaker. And it is basically going to be your all-in-one unit to not only record your tracks and monitor them back from your DAW, Now, they do have different models in the line. Not all of them come with Bluetooth and the USB audio interface, but you know, that's something maybe that some folks won't want and won't want to add the extra expense to it, so they can go with one of the Geminis or Gemini 2s that don't have those features. Go to their website and you'll see all their available speakers. They're amazing, really well built, beautiful construction, a beautiful looking speaker as well. So those are some great features, but one of the most important features, one that I am the most blown away with, is a little knob they have on that back called Empower. What the Empower knob is Mission's answer to those folks using modelers who feel like they aren't getting the so-called amp in the room sound, right? So many folks who are used to using real tube amplifiers are used to a certain sound that they get, almost a feel that they get from a real guitar cabinet. Mission was, as far as I'm concerned, brilliant in putting this feature in. When Empower is turned all the way off, and it's a knob, so it's not an on-off switch, which was brilliant. It's a dimmer switch, essentially. When it's all the way off, it is a super flat, accurate FRFR monitor, okay? And from what I understand, the folks at Mission really went out of their way to make this as flat and as accurate as possible. Now, as a lot of folks know, that may not be what some people want for their modeler. Even though you may be using great IRs or great internal cabs from whatever unit you're using. I love the internal stock cabs on the Line 6 Helix. Maybe the sound you dialed in on your headphones or your studio monitor when you put it into an FRFR speaker like the Gemini, it's not necessarily going to translate exactly because now you're on a different monitoring system. This is something I talk about in a lot of the videos I do, where folks are going to have to tweak patches. If I create something on a certain, with a certain guitar or a certain set of monitors, they're going to have to tweak their patches to make it sound just the way they want it on their monitoring system. What Mission has done here with the Empower knob is as you turn it more to the full, what they call cab setting, is it gradually changes the EQ curve of what's coming out of the speaker to sound more like a guitar speaker cabinet or a guitar speaker. And it's, you know, a guitar speaker's unique EQ curve, right? More focused mids, less high end, right? So maybe some of that harshness is gone. Even if I came up with a patch that was, let's say, a little too bright, and, you know, when I turned it up to maybe stage volume, then it got maybe a slight bit harsh, you can simply reach to the back, grab your Empower knob, and start turning it until it sort of softens those frequencies up. And I'll tell you, that is an amazing knob. It really works wonders, and I was really blown away with it. And I personally think that is probably the best feature right there that Mission included with the Gemini 2. So let's hear a few sound samples of what this Empower knob actually does. But the nice thing about it is that we have the choice to move it to whatever position, not just an on-off or a three position switch, where we're kind of stuck at predetermined settings. We can decide with this dimmer switch how much of the regular, unaffected, modeled sound that we dialed in on our modeler we get versus how much of this emulated, I guess is the word, speaker cab from the Empower knob. So what a fabulous, fabulous feature that is. Very, very impressed with that. Other things on the back of the speaker cabinet are the stereo out, which as far as I understand is simply designed to be used if you are going to use a second Gemini 2, and one is a left and one is a right. Now what would the advantage be, since the Gemini is a stereo speaker? The advantage to that would be maybe separating two cabinets further apart for a wider stereo spread, and the ability to have four 12-inch speakers for better sound dispersion. So that was really well thought out by Mission folks. We also have a USB out, which as I mentioned is going to be for our USB audio interface, which is built into the Gemini. We have our guitar inputs. We also have the Bluetooth switch. It also has a stereo mono switch to decide whether we're feeding it a mono signal or a stereo signal, and that's going to be dependent on what you're using it for. If you're feeding backing tracks into it, obviously you would want that set on stereo. If your patches are all mono coming out of your modeler, then you would probably want that set to mono. If they were all stereo, then to stereo. To utilize stereo on our input, I have this set up as mono right now, so I just have a single XLR coming out of my Line 6 Helix, straight in XLR into the Gemini. If you want to do it in stereo, you will need a TRS breakout cable. So that would be a male TRS cable that will go into the Gemini and breaking out to two female mono plugs, which then you could connect 2 1/4-inch jacks out of your 2 1/4-inch left-right outputs on your Line 6 Helix, and then you're going to be able to feed this in stereo. So I hope I've covered everything about the speaker, and I hope that those sound files did some justice to what you're hearing. But I really encourage you folks to go check out Mission Engineering and their full line of speakers and their amazing expression pedals. I have a couple of those. Everything these guys make is done amazingly well. This is world-class stuff, and these guys are really at the top of their game and offering some incredible, incredible products. So please check them out. You definitely won't go wrong buying one of these. Very, very, very impressed with this. And I'd like to thank the fine folks at Mission again for sending this over so I could do a demo with it. So please check them out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys again really soon. Ciao for now.